Hey everybody, welcome back to Sandbox Sessions. Today is episode 15. Sandbox Sessions is just all about speaking with local entrepreneurs, and all of these entrepreneurs have some tie to Recess Fitness Club, and you'll see what I'm talking about a little bit later on. Thanks for tuning in, and here we go.
Today we have John Paul Verde, who I met a little while back. I'm really excited to have him on today. John, thanks for joining us.
Of course.
John has done a lot here in Dallas. He's the founder of Koval Design Studio. Moto Brio, am I saying that right?
Yes.
Okay, Moto Brio. Sons Plumbing.
Correct.
Proposally.
Yeah, we just launched that.
Okay. Restaurant design and build entrepreneur.
Yes.
Right. You do a lot. And I mean,
We do,
but since the last time you and I got to have a conversation, I would have described John as being a restaurant designer.
Right.
There's obviously a lot more to it than that. You've done some huge projects here in Dallas, notably the Rustic, Happiest Hour, Boogie's. There's one restaurant in particular that I remember I was standing in the urinal, and I was that taken by the design and the thought and the intent of what you had done there. What is the name of that restaurant? I know you know because I was texting you as I was standing there. Like, do you see the TV?
I don't remember.
It was so it was right off of Oak Lawn. It's behind Neighborhood Services. They're out of business now.
No,
it was a Mexican restaurant.
Jalisco Norte. Yeah,
you did Jalisco Norte.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. That was fun.
Amazing finish out.
That was a cool space.
I love that place too.
Rest in peace, Jalisco.
That was a cool space.
Giving that one out.
Today's theme is all about building through chaos and creating ecosystems in the entrepreneurial world.
So I know that we're going to get into more of like backstory and kind of the different categories of your work in a little bit here, but I know you didn't originally plan on being like a restaurant designer. That kind of happened by like necessity. How did that all kind of come into play?
So I started when I was 19 in real estate. I was fortunate to just kind of train under someone that taught me that. I did that for I still own the company, but I did that continuously for about 7-8 years. And in 07, 08, the market started falling apart. I had 16 agents. We had an office at the brewery building in downtown near Hooters. And we started realizing like the market was falling apart, and I started losing agents because they couldn't sell anything. I was the only one that could, just because I had a good contact. And some contacts with cash, and then it was just me and my assistant within a couple months. During that time, I had some commercial clients, and they were looking for restaurant spaces, and I found one on McKinney, and it was a husband and wife, and they were like, hey, we're going to do an empanada and a dumpling concept, and I found them the lease, and I was like, well, what's next? They're like, we don't know. They're like, do you know? I was like, well, no, but I could figure it out. So I was like, well, you need a name, you need a brand. And then my current business partner, which has been with me since 07, he's an architect, and he was designing some hotels in Latin America. And I was like, hey, I have a small deal. Let's see how it goes. So I did the brand for them. Then I did the interior design for them. And then Miguel did the architecture. And that was our first concept.
Nice.
That's so cool. I had no idea you actually started in real estate.
Yeah.
And that the design thing just kind of
The design thing was
came later.
It was more of a necessity because we were basically broke. It was me and my assistant. And we had a couple commercial deals, but we had no more revenue options, especially with the market readjusting. So it was really a way to survive and how to figure out how to prolong a way of like not closing my office or my studio at the time. Yep.
I remember, how we met. It was through another entrepreneur, a client of mine, Haroon.
Yes.
And
that's
Haroon's
right. Yeah.
Huge, serial entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Does a lot of different things. And he was talking to me like, I always talk to this guy like John Paul about like Mercedes and G-Wagons, and we kind of geek out on that. And I'm like, I really want to meet this guy and getting the opportunity to then train you and find out who you were and how it felt like an endorsement almost to have you come here and see what we had designed to get your approval and be like, this is cool, or what would you change? You know?
And when I first came in, Taylor was like, "Can you look at this?" I was like, "Okay, sure."
Yeah.
So just give it.
We couldn't afford them at all.
No, that's right.
Thanks for coming and giving us free advice. And Recess was not what it is right now. Then that was early days.
Mm-hmm. That was early days.
Yeah.
John, backing up a little bit, you started this real estate brokerage or office in the middle of the crash. There was a big crash there from 2006 to 2007. Had a baby. very little revenue. Was there ever a moment that you thought like this isn't going to work?
Yeah, every single day.
I imagine.
Even now, you still like have this hyper focus, but also this like doubt continuously that it's like if you don't work extra or an extra couple hours or pick up a call or respond to a text, like everything's gonna fall apart.
It's relatable.
Obviously it's not, but it does feel like it. But yeah, I think the difficult part during that time was keeping the real estate company afloat, starting a new studio and figuring out how to even charge and how to gain more clients and really how to build a reputation that people would trust you. Because with zero portfolio, like it's hard to sell yourself. And then also having a child, like a few years after that, figuring out how to pay yourself from like the few thousand you charge and just really surviving. But it teaches you how to, one is like not stop, even when you think like you should shut down and just like pack it up and go do something else. And I think it teaches you that if you keep focusing, you start learning how to deal with stress. And I think the best thing I'm good at, and I'm sure you guys too, is like handling stress. You really don't think about it as stress. You just think of it as part of the process and you just keep going.
Yeah. I remember kind of the same time I was in real estate and I was doing, I work buyer, seller side, and figure out which side do I like better. Obviously, seller side's great. And then I would do a lot of like little broker's price opinions, mini appraisals to try and like bridge the gap between like what I wasn't closing in commissions and then like have this hand on personal training and seeing like, what's going to work. And you obviously kind of went more the design route.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, it's good that you did, obviously. Who's taking over after that one?
Well, I was just going to kind of continue on that. So your first design project, you said kind of happened out of necessity. At what point in that process did you figure out like, oh, I'm good at this, or I could do this, or this is like a branch that I could grow?
Yeah. I think, so the studio's been open for 19 years. I don't think I felt that way until maybe 10, 12 years later, because you're in growth mode still. So I would say I didn't know I was good at it. I just felt like we were doing something right. And I think we learned a lot from opening our own restaurants too, and paying for that and failing at that as well. And then realizing if you're one of my clients, realizing that, if you're going to invest hypothetically at that time, 400,000, 500,000, like every single dime counts. So when we're designing, we're thinking about your money as well, because the ROI is so important. But I would say during that time, that's when I learned like, okay, well, we're starting to figure out flow, back of house, front of house. We're starting to figure out operations, because it's not just design something pretty or something that feels really great aesthetically, because that's easier in my opinion, but it's also something that functions.
Yeah. Well, that kind of rolls into like to another question I have too, is when you are creating a space, does it depend on the concept, or do you have a way that you want people to feel when you walk in a space, or does that depend on what it is that you're designing? How do you go through that process?
Well, our approach is it does depend on the concept. We want to see the menu. We want to like look at where they're thinking about going. We also want to talk about flow. We try to tell the client that it's not about you, it's about the concept. So even if you love to have like, say, a bachelor looking space, like something completely dark, with no tones, but just like really moody, we try to remind them like, hey, but how are you going to get people that come in on dates or with families, things like that? And we try to make sure that we're designing for it's like a brunch, lunch, dinner concept where people come often versus just like special occasion. So we think about those things too.
Are there any surprise upcoming projects you can tell us about, or does that spoil a restaurant opening?
Well, we have a lot, but I mean, I could tell you like we've done recent concepts like Hendy's is doing really well in Henderson.
Yeah, oh, you did that?
Yeah, we did that for the guys. It was cool. Boogie's is doing well. That just opened. It's really cool if you guys haven't been there. We designed a really nice red space for the guys, and also the facade on the exterior. Recently, we opened up Puerto and Design District. It's Baja Coastal almost. So think about like Baja Sur, closer to Cabo, but not Cabo. So it's a really beautiful space as well. So there's a lot of new concepts that we're doing, cool. And stuff I can't talk about too. Yeah,
yeah, of course.
At this point in time, you got Coval, which is design side.
Yeah.
You have Motabrio, which is the build side. Sun's Plumbing, commercial plumbing that you're now into, and Proposally, which is a software you created for all things proposals, right? That
Correct.
anyone can do.
Yeah.
So it's more or less like your own. You've created your own ecosystem here in a way. It's like, did you intend for it to go like that, or you just got it like that?
No.
And you're so dang smart that it just naturally happened, and here we are.
No, I'm not. I wouldn't. No, you don't plan like these kind of things when you're starting. At least in my opinion, you just kind of you learn as you go.
It's really good to hear.
Yeah,
'Cause I feel like a lot.
Because looking back 19 years ago, I started the studio. I never thought about building, even though we were building at the time with other builders. Those situations or those opportunities come whenever you decide to like turn that switch on, if that's what you want to do. So meaning we were referring out to other builders, which we still do, but we were referring out to other builders and they were charging our clients X fees, but they were stripping our design. So you're still getting your space. It's still functional, but it doesn't look anything like what you paid us to do. So we were butting heads in that manner until it got to the point where I got frustrated. And I was like, okay, well, we're not going to keep referring because we don't ask for any money back. It's not like, hey, refer, pay us money. We're just like, build it right, build it how we designed it. So we decided to build our own. So 6 years ago, we opened up Motor Brio. So the way I describe it is Koival Studio designs branding, interior design, architectural design. Motor Brio builds commercial design for restaurants, retail, and also hospitality. And then Sun's Plumbing, which I opened up a year ago, does commercial for restaurants, retail, or hospitality as well. And then last Monday, we launched Proposally, and Proposally is more about time saving. So normally you send out a proposal, you write a Word doc, then you PDF it, to the client with your website. You also attach case studies, and if they want testimonials, you have to send testimonials as well. Proposally basically puts it on one hyperlink, so it's a landing page. So it would say Koival Studio for recess, and then it tells you our stats, like 19 years in the business, 300 or so concepts done in the last 19 years, case studies, Hendies, boogies, rustic, happiest hour. You get to scroll through that without leaving the page. And then below that is our scope. So we'll design it, brand it, architecture for it, our fee, and then you pay the deposit there. And then the client never leaves. And you don't have to send out 5 emails. So that's kind of the point with that.
That's great.
Yeah, Evan, Rachel, I don't know about you, but I'm like kind of like smelling some recess number 2. Like,
And like that whole concept sounds like someone who's been through a lot of paperwork and a lot of time and a lot of proposals, a lot of pain points to even come up with that concept. But
and like I said, it's not, in my opinion, entrepreneurship isn't about planning. It's just more of like seeking opportunity, but not becoming a deal junkie. Because I was thinking about it this morning in the shower. I was like, damn, I remember when I was like 22, 23, and I was like, if I could only do this concept and if only I had money, right? And now it's more, and I'm not saying it's about having money. What I'm saying is now it's about having a lot of opportunity to work with really talented people. Like we have amazing entrepreneurs here in Dallas. We have great restaurateurs, people that own like bars, yourselves, like you guys own, this beautiful gym. But now there's opportunities to do more, but as an entrepreneur, you have to learn to say no. So you have to learn to say like, well, damn, that may not make sense for me because it's going to affect something else, or the revenue isn't enough for me to make sure that I have interest in it. So those are things that you learn with time as well.
Can you speak to some times where you had to say no that are notable?
Yeah, I mean, often like I learned the hard way, and the reason I learned to say no is because I fucked up, basically. Sorry, you can say that.
you can say that.
Meaning like you'll have no control over partnership. The partnership, instead of going towards a trajectory that's correct and it's right for the public, it's self-opinion, and then the partnership gets drained, and you learn from that, because if you don't have control, your idea can never be executed. So in this case, I say no if I don't have a good amount of control.
Do you feel like a lot of your thoughts happen when you're in the shower?
Yeah, a lot.
Same.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think maybe it's because there's no distractions at that point. And I'm just there, water, and I'm.
The shower is the best place to think, in my opinion.
Same.
I don't know if it's good for the environment, but it's like you really clear your head.
I mean, there has to be a reason there's a subreddit called Shower Thoughts.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, cool. That's cool.
So it's interesting, you're talking about out of all these pursuits, because I feel that we do that a lot here. So it's refreshing to hear, and that's what you said, like there's not really a plan to do these things. They just kind of happen, and then you develop, an ecosystem or a new whatever, like,
Right.
proposally around like a pain point. And I feel like we do a lot of that here, like, I compared it the same way. There's like, you put a yield or a stop sign or a stop light in an intersection. I mean, I think they're doing better than that now, but by comparison, what do you see when, I heard a pain point for you? It was like, we would contract out the build to, whatever, subs or another contracting company, and we wouldn't get this product that we designed. I mean, that would be really frustrating. So what did you do to go about like cultivating your own contractors to make sure that they knew like, hey, this is the plan and you stick to it, or how are corners being cut? I mean, that would be drive me crazy.
Well, I grew up, so my dad was a master carpenter, but he's retired now. I grew up building like apartments with him when I was like a kid. So the building part of me has always been there. And then when we built, when we designed the rustic, the contractor at that time, we worked with him in parallel in the same office, so we built that with him. So the contractor part, we never did it just because we thought, and this is part of entrepreneurship too, is like we thought if we build, we would compete with other builders, therefore it would affect our referrals or our revenue from them. Only coming to realize like we've never gotten any referrals, maybe 2 in the last 19 years from a builder. It's always us giving them leads or always us giving business. So the hustle comes from us. So in that case, if I'm going to give referrals out and still have to fight you to build kind of the product that I'm giving you, I might as well just do it myself.
Well, you could probably relate with like being a real estate agent and like the lender relationship.
Exactly, yeah. It's the same thing.
It's the same way.
Thing, yeah.
I was like, it sounds
and again,
right.
it's not about like revenue. It's more about like, if I'm going to send you business, like hustle and send me something once every 2 months. So at least like that, my business keeps growing.
Yeah. So John, you've been through 2 big, I guess, crashes in your real estate endeavor during the real estate collapse and then COVID. That's a lot to have overnight happen and then be able to lead a team, as I'm sure you're in parallel feeling some level of like panic. How do you go through that as a leader?
I don't know.
Yeah, just like keep it cool.
No, it's scary as hell. Like it's super scary. During COVID, I remember, it's weird because I have a specific memory about it. I was picking up my good friend Saul. We were going to Hillstone for a quick dinner, and he goes to China a lot.
Okay.
And I was like, hey bro, how bad is it over there? He's like, dude, it's getting bad. I was like, do you think like it's gonna hit here? It's like, it is. And it's weird because it's the same thing that happened during the real estate crash. I called my business partner at the time, Miguel, which is still my business partner, sorry. And I was like, hey, they might let you go soon from your company. He's like, no, it's fine. Like, I'm just doing like all the new marketing pieces for them. I was like, yeah, because you're not working on architecture projects. And then 2 weeks later, he was fired. But during COVID, when that started happening and it shut down, we went from 28 to 30 something clients. Within 24 hours, we were down to 5. Yes. And then from there, we were breaking down basically every single client, seeing what's billable, what's not, what's owed, who can pay. And subconsciously, you're thinking, okay, who do you need to hit now ASAP? Because within 2 weeks, they're going to realize they can't pay us. It's just a fact.
Yeah.
So we started looking at it. We had, I think, a team of 16 or 18 at the time. And then we were going through one by one, like, who are we going to let go? Who can we keep? Who can we not? And it puts you in the survival mode of, like, 1 is, like, how to get out of it, 1. And 2, it's, like, how to figure out how to pay all your people because they need to eat. At the same time, you need to eat. So it's just more of, like, survival, but at the same time, figuring out, like, how the next day is going to go, and then who can recover or who can help you with your invoices sooner than later.
The history books will forever be talking about COVID and the world and the make or break. When there's blood in the streets, what are you going to do? And I remember Evan calling me. I kind of was freaking out. I was packing, MREs and buying a bicycle and, thinking like I'll drive, drive a certain amount of distance. I won't be able to make it. And then I'll get the bike off my car and I can bike out the rest and I'll have meals and eat in the woods.
Yeah.
And then Evan calls me. He's like, hey, we got to keep training. Like, we have your backyard and we can train in your backyard. I'm like, okay, yeah, we can. Like, this will work. And he's like, we can set up in your carport. And then we just start, and it's what made us. It's why we are sitting here today from, the thank you for keeping my head cool as a leader.
Yeah,
at
man.
the time.
Couldn't have done it without
Still
you.
does.
Yeah.
But
It also like it's funny because if you think about it, like it also created or forced a lot of efficiencies
Yeah.
that and made you realize like you were wasting a lot of like money.
that's what I
and
wanted to
time.
ask as a follow-up. Like COVID created an opportunity for us. Can you say, looking back now, that even that it created some type of opportunity for you, whether it was like a growth mind, a expanded mind, or like the way you growed, personally, or like your systems or efficiencies, or like how you viewed business, or maybe an opportunity on the tail end of COVID, like it did for Taylor and I. Do you have anything like that?
I think I think it just reminded us or me how disciplined you have to be in business and also in your personal life. Like now, for example, I'm here at 7 a.m. 4 times a week because if I break my day, I was telling you this on the way down, if I break my day, it just ruins my day. So I'd rather be here at 7. I train with Lewis and I get that out of the way, and then I could just focus fully on making breakfast for my daughter, taking her to school, hit the studio, and then everything's nonstop from there. But I think COVID did kind of give that reset and remind us that regardless if you feel you're doing really well, you still need to figure out how to balance your money correctly and balance your projects so that when you're low on cash, you have some kind of revenue or enough to kind of survive a little bit longer if needed.
So that was one of your biggest, I feel like, nuggets for entrepreneurs so far, is about seeking opportunities without becoming a deal junkie. And then you were saying you kind of learned that through your own failures. You're like, when you're putting $500,000 down and
Yes.
it has a snowball effect, with failure, what is your process now for saying yes or no? Or do you have a set of questions that you kind of ask yourself, or a process you go through to vet it for yourself and what makes it right? Or how would
Or
a
is
young
it a
entrepreneur
feeling?
maybe
Yeah.
start that process earlier?
Process now is really can you afford to lose money if you're going to invest in it? Or can you afford to lose the time without the other projects being affected? For us, it's always like I tell my clients, if they want us to build it, we'll build it for them. But for us, it's always priority Corval Studio. The studio is the creative. The studio is where I get my, really my excitement from every single day. The studio is kind of the pinnacle for me, of how we focus and how we be creatives. Everything else is more extras. The plumbing is fun. I love it. I love to see the team. It's a third generation family. So we teamed up together. They're master plumbers.
Okay.
They're super happy. We're doing this amazing website for them. We get a ton of work for them as well. Motor Brio is cool because it's 21 of us that are self-performed builders, basically, that work for us on payroll. So it's really exciting to see that too. But my point in saying all that is that I think from there we really learn how we can kind of expand businesses, but also not lose on them. And I think all that to say that I say no if I feel like I can't afford to either lose on it or lose time on it.
I think risk ratio is something that's really hard for creatives in general.
Right.
Because they're usually such passion projects
Also,
that it's
if you're-
hard to kind of have that lens on, kind of like that business lens.
Also, if it doesn't really pique your interest completely, you shouldn't do it.
Okay. Plumbing piques my interest because we spend a lot of money here.
We happen to be master plumbers, but
That's good.
Have you ever heard that it's a thing. I've come to find out the thickness of toilet paper against different types of pipes can cause severe plumbing problems.
I have not. No.
We
No.
know that to be a thing now. Yeah.
The ply.
Just by our best. We want to give our customers the highest ply, but we paid for it.
yeah,
Things we don't want expertise in.
Right. That's funny.
try to look out for the butts, and
You know?
you end up.
And the receptacle,
Taking
you
it.
want the right receptacle to hold the right plumbing thing.
Yes.
It's a detail.
There's a lot of details.
You know?
Yeah. But there's really good experts in that. So
Yeah, yeah. If you could sit down with the 19-year-old John Paul Verde, what would you tell him before he started doing all this?
that's tough. Let's see. Probably the best decision I made was not buying the Porsche at 25. Yeah, because I told myself, I was like, all right, 25 I'll have a Porsche. But instead I got an assistant.
Oh, nice.
So I invested in that, and that helped me grow.
That's huge.
I think it's easy to pay yourself more money. But I think it's easier to lose a little money, not pay yourself that money, invest it in someone else, and then they'll help you grow 2-3 times.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That's really helpful.
Cool.
Yeah, well, you said part of your daily routine here starts at 7 a.m. It has to.
Yep.
You show up. Luis is your trainer. How do you like Luis?
This is awesome.
He's good.
Yeah.
I used to train you.
He's always asking me questions like, hey, so tell me how this works. Like, if I do this, like, how do I do this? And but it's cool. Like, we get along great and we talk a bunch of crap.
He said you've been really inspiring to him.
That's good.
Yeah,
That's good.
That's the whole purpose of this podcast.
And for the crowd, this is Louis at Recess Fitness Club. Yeah.
Yes.
So Recess is the 7 a.m.
That's correct. Yeah.
workout that you're coming to.
Yeah.
How do you find balance with? I mean, I guess just the schedule, the time blocking. Being busy. I know you were saying earlier in the day, if you separate it, usually you find it doesn't happen. So there's obviously routine is a key ingredient for your success and part of your health.
Yeah, I think balance it's never perfect. Like I've found that, if you really want to have some kind of improvement in your life and your lifestyle or in your business, like you have to sacrifice. There's no such thing as, at least for me, I know people may disagree. Like you don't get Saturdays off. You still work. Sundays, you still take the call, you still take the text. 5 a.m. text, 6 a.m. text, you still respond within a couple hours if you can.
Yep.
And it's that mindset of making sure that you're still being disciplined regarding how you treat your clients. And for your own body, at least for me, I'm very strict on like, not what I eat, because I eat every single restaurant, but I don't eat like fried foods. I'm super scared of carbs, which is probably bad, but it freaks me out. So I try to eat, as healthy as I can. But I think for me, like the discipline of 7 a.m. workouts is good. I raised my daughter not alone, but a good portion for a long time alone. So that discipline of like the chaos, just adjusting to it without letting the stress get to you, kind of works too. So I'd say it's more along those lines for myself.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, you've built a lot already. I know there's some things you can't talk about, some secret projects, but what excites you the most, like on your next chapter?
Let's see. I think what excites me the most is probably working with like really great entrepreneurs in Dallas. Like we're just fortunate. Dallas has become my home. I was born in California, raised in Oak Cliff, and seeing Dallas evolve and grow and then getting to know like the small network of entrepreneurs is great. Seeing like, hypothetically you as a client come in and say, hey, this is my first concept. I've never done something like this before. This is my budget. And I work with you on that, not just to design it, but also to make sure it becomes like actually, something you can use and see. So for us, the next thing is like continue working with like really good clients from the Moto Brio side, and then seeing what's next on the business side that works with that kind of ecosystem that we're building.
What does it look like in terms of like timing? Like let's say, you had a prospective client and they're like, hey, we got this project coming up in 3 months. Is that something you can accommodate, or do you present the timeline to them?
No, we will accommodate them if we can.
Okay.
Yeah, we like to work backwards. So if you tell me, most of our clients say, hey, we already signed our lease.
Hey, by the way.
So what we do is like, let's get a hard date from this side. I have an amazing project manager named Kylie. That's phenomenal. The whole team's amazing. And the team's from everywhere. So we have a lot of influence of like different styles and from travel as well. But you give us a date and then we go backwards from that date and we set up our timelines and our deadlines. Okay. As long as the client's communicating, responding, we can probably meet the deadline if it's realistic.
That's awesome. It's cool.
Has success has your view of success changed from when you started to where you're at now? For instance, like what you would view as a success now. Maybe in the beginning it was about like reaching a certain revenue, or like, success was being able to like pay your people or your like, car. Your car notes and like being able mortgage, to eat. Yeah. And then, evolved like, what is, and you're obviously like incredibly successful now, compared to when you started. What is success to you today? What does that look like?
I think, well, first I have this really struggle with feeling like successful. I just feel like I'm still growing. But I realized like how much you can do in 10 years is pretty dramatic. I mean, if you think about it, I started the studio at 27, 28. I had my kid at 30, 31, and then at 40, I already had Koval Studio a little more established. But you also have a 10-year-old, 12-year-old kid at that time. So there's a lot you can do in 10 years. But for me right now, success means like an amazing friendship base, family as well, structure, chaos at the same time, but most importantly, like freedom to be able to, not think over, wanting to take a small trip, or freedom to like take a drive for 4 or 5 hours on a weekend and not worrying about like, what am I going to take and is it going to make it? Like those little details are freedom to me. Taking care of my parents, like financially, and just making sure that they're good financially, like that's super important. So that's more of like how I think.
Yeah.
That's such a great answer, such a humble answer that like freedom, little freedoms or like simple joys are kind of like what makes you feel successful at this point.
Right.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it's been super refreshing to have you on here today and talk about all those things and hear some of the same mentalities or things I have every day. My text, my phone, I got to reply, I got to be available, I got to do this many hours, and your definition of success. It's really refreshing to hear all that. And like even the chaos that you say does need to exist, and it's like problems that are actually all opportunities. They're all just different sets of problems along the way that can help you grow. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Really cool to hear that.
That's good.
Yeah, that's entrepreneurship, right?
Yeah.
Thanks, John Paul.
Yeah, of course.
been
It was
great,
fun.
man.
Yeah, it was really enjoyable.
Yeah.
Where do people find us? Do we talk about that still?
Why don't we talk about where they can find John Paul first?
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
Of course.
How do people get in touch with you?
Did I give my phone number? Or
Yeah, man.
No,
It's going to be
yeah.
on Spotify.
You
So
could just look up our studio at Koeval Studio, COEVAL Studio.com, and then you can look up our other company, Modobrio, MODOBRIO.com, and then Sons Plumbing and Proposedly, PORPOZLY.com. So anything we can help with, we're obviously here to listen. And also, if you just need advice, we're happy to help.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Thank
Yeah,
you
of
so
course.
much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
All right.
Really great.
Thanks for where am I looking at? Okay. Thanks for joining us on another episode of Sandbox Sessions. I'm your co-host Rachel.
I'm Taylor.
Evan.
We didn't do that earlier. You can find us everywhere you find your podcast, iTunes, Spotify, and all that good stuff. See you later.